All right, Pooh Shiesty is finished after this paperwork, and that's not cap, that's not hyperbole. This paperwork is a disaster for Pooh Shiesty. They've recovered images and videos of the actual crime, the alleged kidnapping of Gucci Mane. We now got pictures of Gucci Mane being held at gunpoint, being forced to record videos saying that Pooh Shiesty is no longer on the label. Not just that, this is crazy, and I haven't seen anyone else pick up on this. Pooh Shiesty just released a song with Glorilla, Yo Gotti's artist, and on the song he's dissing Gucci Mane. And I don't know how he pulled this off. I mean, I kind of do know how he pulled this off, but he's dissing Gucci on the song, calling him a snitch. He's calling him a snitch, talking about, I know dudes that got a body and you still a snitch. It's crazy. Bro, I cannot tell you how bad this is for Pooh Shiesty. I'm going to break it all down to you in this video. I've got all the documents, all the paperwork, all the news. I've got absolutely everything for you guys here. And honestly, it's carnage out there for Pooh Shiesty right now, okay? So here's where I'm going to start, all right? Here's where I'm going to start. So Pooh Shiesty just released this song with Glorilla, all right? I'm going to start here before I get to the paperwork, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you layer by layer on how screwed this guy is, because this is outrageous. It's like he's got a time machine and he went back in time and just made sure to snitch on himself before he'd even had the idea to commit the crime. This is insane. So this is his song with Glorilla, who is Yo Gotti's artist. Look at the title of the song. Mane. What, like Gucci Mane? What, like the guy you kidnapped at gunpoint and made get off your label so you could sign with Yo Gotti, who's Glorilla's artist? This on its own is snitching on himself. He snitched on himself. He snitched all over himself, right? And now I don't want to do too much, but look, don't get it twisted. This song is a banger. They got the Richard Millies on. Okay, there's some rare-ass watches they got on in this video. I'm not going to lie to you, bro. These two are getting to some bread, right? Unfortunately, Pooh Shiesty ain't going to be able to spend it. You're going to be Ferrari shopping from the jail cell once again. But these are the lyrics to the song. It's a big problem. He said, yeah, this is what they've been waiting on right here. That's for sure. The Fed's been waiting on this song for sure. The Fed's been waiting for this drop. All right, the Fed's pre-saved this drop for sure. Now, what is crazy, okay, is some of these lyrics that he says later on. Now, obviously, the idea is he's not necessarily... The song's not about Gucci Mane. It just so happens it's a classic Memphis greeting to say, "Hey, Mane, say Mane." South Memphis to the north screaming, "Hey, Mane, say Mane." All right? That's some Memphis slang. But here's the problem. Pooh Shiesty's verse is very, very outrageous, okay? And here's the big problem. Here's the very, very, very large problem. It's a serious problem. Because this kidnapping went down on January 2026. January the 10th. All right? And if you don't believe, I'm just going to flash up the paperwork real quick just to remind you. January 10th, 2026. Okay? This song just dropped. All right? But I believe it was teased quite some time ago. Now, this is the thing. This is where I'm starting to think this guy might have had a time machine, because they was in the studio recording this on January the 7th. This clip of them two in the studio recording this track and linking up was January the 7th. So this was just days before the alleged robbery went down. So clearly he had an issue with Gucci Mane, right? Because he had planned to go and rob him and kidnap him at gunpoint to get out of his contract. But the thing that's crazy is that he was doing this with Yo Gotti. With Glorilla, who's Yo Gotti's artist. Yo Gotti been had a beef with Gucci Mane. Pooh Shiesty wants to leave Gucci Mane and go and sign with Yo Gotti. So it's like he done pre-snitched on himself. Like you pre-saved the album, he pre-told on himself. So in this song, he raps absolute insanity. All them hundreds don't make you real, M-word. I know rats with some money, and that kill don't make you gangster. I know snitches with bodies. Now that's clearly aimed at Gucci Mane. Now, I don't know if he knew that he was going to tell. I don't know if he's just using that against him, saying that kill don't make you gangster. He's talking about Gucci Mane. Gucci Mane got killed. He killed a guy called Pookie Loke. Young Jeezy sent a bunch of guys to go and, a bunch of Crips, to go and rob Gucci Mane. Gucci Mane shoots back, ends up killing one of them called Pookie Loke. He got a body. He beat it. They charged him with murder, beat it on self-defense. That kill don't make you gangster. I know snitches with bodies. This guy's Nostradamus. He knew, bro, this is a problem, okay? See, them millions enhanced my juice. I was a mother effer before fame. You ain't made no name in all this time, bitch. You gonna die lame. I've been GG since elementary, Lil Shiesty like I left a stain. My city ain't wanna accept my gang. Now it's a household name. Who run Memphis? Brr gang. I got rich off gunslanging. Body drop, they get the name, and me and the smackers I bang with. I can pimp a renegade, see, I can sell a tub soap. 45 bullet full of ball heads. My bullets look like Duty Low. BJ blew up Shorty phone when we found out he was Kamo. When he found out he was camo, I don't know. Fresh out the feds, but they watched me twist up my fingers and pose, bitch. I had two options: take charge or get us hit with a Rico. I rap, but I still shoot, folks. 3 days after recording this, apparently he had a Draco pointed at a man. All of my foreigns got polished toes. All my jewelry rose gold. Fight night in Vegas. I'm front row chinchilla. Frank Lucas coat. Spectre came with the stars in the dough. The only door he's going to be seeing is them cell gates slamming on him after this one. So look, all right, it's crazy. So let me show you the news report on this damning paperwork. I actually have all of the paperwork for you guys, and I'm gonna just show you all of the news reporting and what everybody is saying about this. I'm gonna run you the full paper. I got everything for you today. Pooh Shiesty is not safe. So this is Fox 13 reporting on the news. The new court filing says Pooh Shiesty is posing a danger to the community and it opposes the bond request. So they've put the new evidence in this, which is a response to his request to get a bond. And I've got loads of other evidence as to why that probably shouldn't happen, and it probably never will happen.
New this morning, the federal government says rapper Pooh Shiesty is simply too dangerous to be out on bond. The rapper's real name is Lontrell Williams Jr. He is asking to be released on bond ahead of his trial. And you may remember he and 8 other men, including his father, are accused in the January robbing and kidnapping of his record label owner, Gucci Mane. The other defendants, including Shiesty's father and rapper Big 30, they're already out on bond. But here's this new filing. Prosecutors argue Shiesty should not be allowed out under any circumstances. They say no condition of release can protect the community or witnesses against Williams Jr. from the danger he poses. It goes on to say the danger here is concrete. Williams Jr. himself has shot at least 2 people. He leads a Memphis street gang of about 100 members. Excuse me. They say he's a man who can summon an armed entourage at will. And they contend he did just that in Dallas in January.
So they're saying he can summon 100 men at a click of a finger like goddamn Bonnie Blue. It's insane. Okay, and here's the reason he's not going to get a bond. Okay, so look, we're seeing all type of videos, news reports, and articles going around. This is Memphis 5 Action News, all right, and it is definitely an action-packed day with this paperwork dropping. He's requesting a release from custody, all right, and he's basically been trying to get a bond. Now, I'll show you, I'll explain this to you, and then I'll even show you the paperwork of him trying to get this. So basically, his attorneys are asking a Texas federal judge to reconsider the order keeping him in custody while he awaits trial on kidnapping and robbery charges. In the newly filed documents, Williams' attorneys request that his release is put under strict conditions, including 24/7 home confinement with GPS monitoring, restricted travel, no contact with the alleged victims, and drug testing with intense supervision. His attorneys say one of the alleged victims later denied what happened on social media and argued the kidnapping allegation may not qualify as a federal case. They also contend that Williams is neither a danger to the community nor a flight risk. Now that's cap. All right, prosecutors are disputing those claims. They said they're unaware of any victim recanting a statement and that Williams' attorneys did not provide proof of a recantation. Prosecutors also argue Williams had not complied with supervision in past cases and that no set of conditions can ensure public safety. That's an understatement. Okay, so here's actually the original paperwork. This was a motion to modify the conditions of release. Okay, and basically Lontrell Williams Sr., he was basically requesting the court modify his conditions. He wants to be able to travel from his attorney's offices from Texas for the purpose of discussing this case. And this, along with other motions, were basically put across to try and, you know, loosen up the restrictions on Pooh Shiesty's dad, on Pooh Shiesty himself. You know, this is basically a bunch of attempts basically to try and kind of, you know, loosen up the restrictions. Here's the thing. This came out, all right? Shout out to Flacco. He got this on his Twitter today, all right? Gucci Mane's security guard allegedly pleaded with the judge to deny Pooh Shiesty a bond. He said, "I've limited my children from going outside. Please consider our safety." This is what he said. He wrote the judge a letter. This is CW, the victim from the original indictment, and allegedly the off-duty cop that was protecting Gucci Mane that day. This is a bad look. And once I get to the actual paperwork of the state denying all of Pooh Shiesty's recommendations, you're going to see he's absolutely deep-fried, beer battered, okay? It said, "This is CW, a victim and survivor from the incident that occurred on January the 10th, 2026. First, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to provide my statement and response regarding the decision at hand concerning the bond for Lontrell Williams Jr., Pooh Shiesty. I respectfully ask that Mr. Williams remain remanded with no bond due to the safety concerns for myself and my family. Mr. Williams was aware that I'm a vested retired police officer, and that knowledge didn't stop him from committing these actions. So he's saying Pooh Shiesty knew he was a cop, and he still upped the Drake on him. Cooked, all right? And the police officer is making a very good point, saying he knew I'm a vested retired police officer. All right, I don't know if he's saying he had his vest on that day, but he's saying that didn't stop. Ain't shit stopping him. Nothing stopping him. All right, what was it? Hernandez Govan said, "National Guard ain't even going to stop me from getting to you." Okay, allegedly, ain't nothing stopping Pooh Shiesty, bro. He was on federal house arrest or limited release or whatever you call it, supervised release when he did this. So you being a cop, he knew you were a cop and he still held you up with the Drake. It said, because of this, I'm deeply concerned about what he might attempt to do if he's released. Facts. Out of all the victims involved in this case, I'm the only one who actually lives in Texas. I'm extremely fearful of his ability to reach me or my family if he's granted a bond. His actions show a disregard for the safety and well-being of others. These alleged crimes were committed while he was already under the government-monitored release, which raises serious concerns for me about what would prevent him from causing further harm if given another opportunity. Prior to this incident, Mr. Williams was given a second chance and was granted bail and bond with monitoring conditions. Despite these conditions, he was once again accused of committing another crime that resulted in a person being shot. My wife and I are both afraid of what his mindset might be if he was released. That's a fact. This guy is a loose cannon. And they saying he got 100 men, pause. They're saying that Pooh Shiesty can access 100 men anytime he wants, pause. All right? Listen, Pooh Shiesty, he's able to be around 100 men at the tip of a hat. All right, so that's what he's got going on. All right, don't even get me started on Chopper Gang. All right, he can chop 100 men at a moment's notice. Anyway, I'm gonna hit you with the paperwork now, and what you're gonna see here is going to absolutely blow your little tiny little brain. All right, it's gonna blow your mind. This is absolutely insane. Here, let's get into it. I'm gonna read you the whole thing. All right, so preheat your oven to 400. All right, 420. And get ready, because this is about to be an absolute bloodbath. You're not going to believe they got pictures of the footage, all right? Let's get into it. No way he's getting a bond. Look at the state of this. Defendant Lontrell Williams Jr., Pooh Shiesty, Dookie Shiesty, is charged with kidnapping, conspiracy to commit kidnapping, Hobbs Act extortion, and conspiracy to the same. He was ordered detained after Magistrate Judge Tolliver, Don Tolliver may be related, appropriately determined that Williams Jr. posed both a flight risk and a danger to the community if released. Williams Jr. now moves to revoke his detention order and request the court impose conditions of release. However, his detention was and continues to be appropriate under the factors. For the following reasons, this court should deny the defendant's motion and request for an order setting conditions of release and should continue Williams Jr. detention pending trial. Now, before I go any further, I just want to rub it in everybody's faces who said, oh, Pooh Shiesty. Yeah, I'm talking about one particular lawyer. Pooh Shiesty, right? Everybody's got this wrong. What actual evidence do they have? They don't have any proof. They don't even have any proof that they was in the room. They don't have the footage. They don't have the contract. They don't have nothing. What actual evidence do they have on Pooh Shiesty? He's going to beat this. Yeah? Yeah? Right. Yeah, just lock in. Just let what I'm about to tell you wash over you. Procedural and factual background, because they got new information. They're saying you want a bond? All right, let me show you what we got. Williams Jr. orchestrated an armed kidnapping and robbery while on federal home confinement. Yeah, you're not getting a bond, buddy. On January the 10th, 2026, Williams Jr. and his 8 conspirators perpetrated the armed kidnapping and robbery of 3 victims in a Dallas, Texas recording studio. Williams Jr., a popular recording artist who performs under the moniker Pooh Shiesty, also leads Memphis-based street gang referred to as the Chopper Gang, right? As Memphis detective Paul Petty previously explained to this court in a May 26, 2026 hearing regarding co-defendant Kadarius Waters' pretrial detention, the Chopper Gang is a Memphis-based clique of the Grape Street Crips that has been known to participate in homicides, robberies, carjackings, firearms offenses, and narcotics trafficking. Williams Jr. is the co-founder of the gang, which has close to 100 or more members. That's not ideal, right? It's not ideal for your bond. At the time of the offense, Pooh Shiesty resided in North Texas, fulfilling the final months of a 63-month sentence for conspiracy to possess firearms in furtherance of violent and drug trafficking crimes in violation of the United States Code. He was just a few months of getting off of these conditions, and he fucked it all up being a big old dummy. As part of his sentence, Williams Jr. was required to reside in a Frisco, Texas apartment and was supervised by case managers with a Bureau of Prisons BOP contractor, Volunteers of America VOA, and Williams Jr. Pooh Shiesty's home detention included, among other requirements, that he would not A, own or possess any dangerous weapon. He leads Chopper Gang. He co-founded Chopper Gang. He can't own or possess any dangerous weapons vis-a-vis a chopper. Associate with persons. So B, he cannot associate with anybody that has a criminal record. Or C, consume alcoholic beverages or use controlled substances. It shouldn't be that hard, should it? But he had a hard time. Unless given specific permission to do otherwise, what, like your PO is going to call you and say, we've got bun a spliff right now? I don't know, it's crazy. Pooh Shiesty was required by these conditions to remain at his place of residence, but Williams Jr. routinely failed to abide by these conditions throughout the course of his home confinement, assisted in skirting these requirements through the help of collusive VOA employees. Wow. So he is actually... Don't tell me he was chopping one of the VOA case supervisors. Good God. Investigators have now learned Pooh Shiesty was involved in an inappropriate relationship with at least one of his VOA case supervisors, and that this VOA employee was actively involved in entering fake day passes that would allow Pooh Shiesty to travel to unapproved locations while he was supposed to be confined to his residence. We seen him on streams with Ben Don talking about, yeah, I'm at the house. All right. But now we're knowing for real, it sounds like he was chopping one of his VOA supervisors. I'd hope there's at least a picture of her. This misconduct extended to the day of the kidnapping itself. On January the 10th, 2026, on that day, the employee entered 3 day passes, allowing Williams Jr. to travel, and contacted him 19 times over the course of the day. VOA later terminated the employee for this conduct, so he got the Volunteer of America employee that was helping deal with his probation fired. Mental. Despite having VOA employees actively assisting him in skirting the requirements of his home confinement, Williams Jr., Pooh Shiesty, managed to still be formally written up for violating his conditions on at least 4 occasions. Oh dear. So first off, he provided a cold urine sample on November the 8th, 2025. This was documented as a refusal. He failed to appear for his urine analysis on January the 30th, 2026, to which he claimed he was unable to secure transportation for it. He failed to report for his bi-weekly check-in on March the 3rd, 2026. Bear in mind, this is all after the robberies happened. The first one was before. He gave them cold piss. Apparently that doesn't run. Who would have thunk it? Could have at least microwave that bitch for like 15 seconds and just been... He's not smart though, is he? And then after this is all after the robbery. So he's robbed and kidnapped his record exec with a bunch of choppers and the whole chopper gang, and with 8 of the 100 men. And then he's still not providing his piss, his dirty piss. And then he's failing to report for the bi-weekly check-ins. So this is all after doing this robbery. This guy just thought he was untouchable Mr. Teflon John Gotti. He claimed he didn't have transportation to report for a scheduled urinalysis. Urinalysis, that's a new word. I need to remember that one. Appointment on March the 21st, 2026. When Williams Jr. asked if he could report the next morning for his test, the VOA approved this request, but he still didn't turn up. He still didn't turn up. So he's chopping the VOA, seemingly, chopping the VOA employees, and he's still not even turning up after they're finessing it for him. So in the afternoon of the actual offence, Pooh Shiesty was written up for being an unapproved location. The VOA records support the statements provided by the victims and witnesses that Pooh Shiesty was called and instructed to return to his home immediately, and he failed to do so. So after all of this, they called him and said, bro, you need to get home now. Stop capping. Stop playing with us, all right? I've just realised my lovely second lights are not on. Let me turn my lights on. Let me get my lighting. Ooh, yeah, that's nice. So it says, Williams Jr. planned and executed the premeditated armed kidnapping to extort his way out of a recording contract. Mental. On the day of the offence, Pooh Shiesty lured Radrick Davis, a.k.a. Gucci Mane. The RD ain't doing too much, all right? Ain't RD from Brighton, that's for sure. Radrick Davis Gucci Mane, a music industry executive and owner of a recording label, Big 1017. We know exactly what this is all about. And the other victims to Dallas under the guise of participating in a business meeting. Williams Jr., Pooh Shiesty, had been signed to Gucci's record label for over 5 years. Throughout much of his relationship with Pooh Shiesty, So, though throughout much of his relationship with Williams Jr., he was in the feds, incarcerated. During his incarceration, Pooh Shiesty's dad, Lontrell Sr., he was his purported business manager, and he made numerous unsuccessful attempts to renegotiate the terms of Pooh Shiesty's contract with Gucci Mane, including trying to obtain the rights to Williams Jr.'s master recordings. Very interesting. Let's read this footnote. It says, 2 months after his early release from the Bureau of Protections, Pooh Shiesty dropped a single titled FDO, or First Day Out. It debuted at #1 on the Billboard Hot R&B and Hip Hop Songs, surpassing Pooh Shiesty's previous Billboard #6 hit and greatly increasing the commercial value of his record catalogue. The song contains purportedly autobiographical elements of Williams Jr.'s incarceration and release, opening with a direct reference to walking out of jail and declaring his contempt of federal authorities. Let's not forget, he doesn't even mention it here, but he says that he had someone hit. He called a hit. He said, I ain't shot no one in 4 years, I ain't sent a hit in 3. He said he had someone killed from jail. I can't wait to find out who that was. It says, later describing walking out of his cell, reorganizing his gang, and the frustration of being stuck in a cage while a war raged outside it. Cooked. So once Pooh Shiesty was, let's read this footnote secondly. It says, a master recording is the original definitive recording from musical work from which all copies are made and distributed. Ownership of the master confers the right to license, sell, and collect royalties from every subsequent use of that recording. Okay, so Pooh Shiesty Sr. was trying to renegotiate Pooh Shiesty Jr.'s master recordings unsuccessfully. Gucci Mane's saying, shut the hell up, bro. Ain't renegotiation shit. My investment's finally about to pay off. So, when Pooh Shiesty was released on home confinement in October 2025, he personally continued to push these negotiations, while Radrick Davis remained open to negotiating certain aspects of Williams Jr.'s contract, such as his album payouts. Gucci Mane was adamant that he would not give Pooh Shiesty the rights to his masters. It was under the pretext of continuing these negotiations that Gucci believed he was invited to Dallas. On January the 10th, 2026, Gucci traveled to Dallas to attend his meeting with his photographer, MM, and his close friend, BP, and his 2 former police officer security guards, CW and TD. Pooh Shiesty arrived at the recording studio meeting with his dad and his fellow Chopper Gang leader and Memphis recording artist Rodney Wright Jr., aka Big 30, Big Dirt Ball. Brr, brr. You know what I'm saying? I love Big 30's music. He's fire, right? Wake up in the morning from a long ass nap. Hard, right? What does he say? Go look up in the mirror, brush my teeth and pick a strap. I don't know. Look, he's hard as fuck. I'll be listening to Big 30 all the time. He also had Kadarius Waters and 5 other Confederates. At the studio, Williams Jr. spoke on a phone with what victims believed was his parole officer, telling the person he was speaking to that he was not supposed to be out. After this call, Pooh Shiesty asked to speak with Gucci Mane in the soundproof recording room adjoining the main control room, with Williams Sr., Wright Jr., and then joining the 2 in the recording room. So his dad and Big 30, Big Third Ball, he joined Gucci Mane and Pooh Shiesty in the room. Once inside the recording room, Pooh Shiesty demanded Gucci release him from his recording contract and produced a printed contractual release for Gucci Mane to sign. Now, you ready for the next bit? Because this is where I hope your ovens are preheated to 400. All right. Nice glaze of olive oil over whatever dish you're choosing to prepare, because we're about to cook. A copy of the release printed by Williams Sr. at the Staples hours before the offense. Yep, they got it printed at Staples nearby just hours before. This was recovered from Williams Sr.'s emails. Oh dear. What do you mean? Well, I just want to recap all of the people, all of the amateur lawyers who said, what? There's no contract, there's no footage. There's no contract, no footage, nothing. What evidence do they have? It's he said, she shed. She said she sells by the seashore. Pooh Shiesty Sr.'s emails got the contract in it. So, yeah, there's your evidence. But there's more. Wait, there's more. Gucci Mane refused to sign the presented release paperwork. This prompted Pooh Shiesty to instruct Big 30 to bring him his bag. When Big 30 returned with the bag, Pooh Shiesty pulled out an AK-style pistol, described by victims as a chopper. He's the co-founder of Chopper Gang. You remember when Trump said, he said Obama founded IS? Bro, what do you mean? He didn't pull out a chopper. He founded Chopper. He founded Chopper Gang. He said to his gang consigliere, go and get my bag. and he pulled out a chopper. He literally found a chopper gang. He pointed it at Gucci Mane's head and repeated his demand that Gucci sign the release of the contract. And there's video. All right, we've got stills here. Bruv, are you kidding me? Are you kidding? This is insane. Okay, you're all so cooked. All right, so now it's time for you to open up the oven and put your dish in there, and we're gonna leave that there probably for the next 20 minutes, and we're just gonna let it cook. Unsatisfied with merely obtaining a written release of the contract, Pooh Shiesty announced that he wanted to film Gucci Mane. Sir, you are committing a crime. Sir, you are on house confinement. Your PO just told you get back to the house, and you said, no, you know what? Fire up the cameras. He wanted to film that. Big 30 recorded Gucci Mane on his cell phone, stating Pooh Shiesty dropped from 1017. All the while, co-defendant DeMarcus Glover, who entered the recording room as the altercation ensued, blocked the door holding a Draco. Picture on the left, Government Exhibit 1. All right. This is a video. So these are stills from a video. So at 0.00 seconds in the video that they've got, and we'll see it eventually, this depicts Pooh Shiesty's dad, William Sr., holding the contract. Where's the evidence? There. Do you want me to zoom in? I'll zoom in. It's okay. I'll zoom in. Let me just get my magnifying glass tool open. Does it work? This ain't working. My magnifying glass tool ain't working, but if I just zoom in, yeah. See that? What evidence? They got no evidence, bro. What evidence? There's the evidence. At 0 seconds. So 0 seconds. Also featured is Pooh Shiesty. That's Pooh Shiesty there. In black. And Radrick Davis, Gucci Mane, wearing the yellow. The image in the center, Government Exhibit 1, same video. At 5 seconds in, this depicts Glover holding a Draco in front of the recording room door. Holding Gucci Mane. So, people want to say, what evidence? Signed the Gucci Mane's a snitch. Bro, you filmed it. You filmed it. Gucci Mane didn't film this. Pooh Shiesty said, yo, film this. On the right, Government Exhibit. At 11 seconds of the video, this depicts Gucci Mane releasing Williams from his contract. Let me zoom in again, just show you how cooked. I can't fathom how stupid this is. Pooh Shiesty in a Shiesty, wearing a chain that says Shiesty. I'm just now getting a chain that says my name. I've been bullshitting. Let's get this on camera. This is one of the dumbest things that's ever happened. And this isn't no cool, like, Suge Knight dangling over the balcony, getting away with it type shit. This is just completely misguided lunacy, right? But it gets worse. Don't worry, guys. It gets worse. We're just going to keep that dish in the oven. I'm going to let that keep cooking. After obtaining Gucci Mane's signature on a verbal release of the contract and filming his crime, Pooh Shiesty then decided to rob Gucci Mane of $450,000 of personal property, including his wedding ring, a watch, and a pair of earrings, as well as the cash that Gucci was carrying in his pockets. They ran his pockets. With the signed release and Gucci Mane's jewelry in hand, Pooh Shiesty and Big 30, Dirtball, forced Gucci Mane back into the control room at gunpoint, hands raised. There, the violence continued, with Wright Jr., Big 30, and 2 other co-conspirators blocking the exit door with firearms drawn, while the other co-conspirators robbed MM and BP at gunpoint. During the offense, MM described he was choked to the point of near unconsciousness, while BP has recounted to investigators that Pooh Shiesty held the barrel of his Draco to the back of his head. Pooh Shiesty and his co-conspirators subsequently exited the larger office building encompassing the music video through one set of doors, while Gucci Mane, MM, CW, and TD left through the other and called 911. Call him a snitch, call him whatever you want, bro. They really put the Draco to his head and they filmed it. So, they snitched on themselves. You lose the right to call anybody a snitch when you get your camera out and said, guys, let's film this crime so we got evidence of this. Because if it comes up in court about this contract that we want to prove that this happened, I actually can't fathom how dumb he was. Because you know what he was thinking? All right, I don't know if I can do the Memphis accent. Like, he was thinking, like, we need proof. We need some proof that you signed a contract. All right? He thinking we need some proof. We need some proof. Hey, man, say, man. He thinking we need some proof so we can record this music. I'm trying to get the rights back to this music. All right? He said, let's record Gucci Mane signing that contract to release my music. He didn't think for a second he was recording to recording himself committing a crime. He must have literally been thinking, if it comes up in court that this contract isn't real, I'm going to need footage to prove that he really did sign back the rights to my music. And now, when he's in a court of law fighting this case, now we know for real. You committed that crime and you're the one that wanted to record it. So it says at the detention hearing, the magistrate judge correctly assessed that Williams Jr. is a danger to the community and a flight risk and ordered he be detained. Pooh Shiesty was apprehended at his Frisco, Texas apartment on the morning of April 1st, 2026, and he made his initial appearance in front of the Honorable Magistrate Judge Tolliver on April 3rd, 2026. His probable cause and detention hearings were held on April 8th, 2026, where FBI Special Agent Pamela Hanson testified for the government. At the conclusion of this hearing, the court ordered Williams Jr. to be detained, finding that the weight of the evidence against the defendant is strong. She was particularly troubled by his prior criminal history and Pooh Shiesty's participation in criminal activity in this case while under supervision. The court further highlighted his history of violence and weapons charges, his history of substance abuse, and determined that Pooh Shiesty violated the most restrictive of the conditions that were imposed by the Bureau of Prisons. Therefore, Judge Tolliver could not find that there's any condition or combination of conditions that she could impose now. They're almost the same, that would reasonably ensure Pooh Shiesty's appearance as required and the safety of the community or another person if released. Okay? So, basically, okay, it says, in reviewing of the magistrate judge's order of pretrial release, the court basically makes its determinations to decide whether it's proper. All right, they review all of this stuff. They look at the Bail Reform Act, and they're basically saying they authorized pretrial detention without bail where no conditional combination of conditions will reasonably assure the appearance of the person and the safety of any other person. They're basically saying that these are the legal precedents that allow us to deny this clown any kind of bail because it's ridiculous, not happening. Okay? So it says, neither the facts nor the circumstances of the offence nor Pooh Shiesty's personal characteristics have improved since the April 8th detention hearing. In fact, the strength of the government's case has only increased, including through locating the contract that Williams Jr. forced Gucci to sign and the video of Gucci's kidnapping and extortion itself. They said, where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? Where's the contract? Where's the footage? Oh, we found it. Oh, found it. Got it. These evidentiary gaps that Williams Jr. used as a foundation for his filing have now closed. Closed for business. You know what, guys? I'm sorry. I'm just going to have to do it real quick. I just want to return to this, right? And I have no problem with Mo Gangat. I feel like Mo Gangat is cool. I like his content, but he speaks a lot of nonsense. And I think a lot of these guys, they like to just do this thing where the facts come out and somebody's cooked. And people like me speak the facts to our audiences and say this guy is cooked. And I think a lot of people like Mo like to just say, you know what's going to get me some clout and some motion? I'm just going to do the opposite of what everybody else is doing and try and make it, and try and basically like, you know, get on my knees and make it sound like this guy has a chance when he doesn't. Look at the state of this a few months ago that he put out there, right? I just want you to understand how ridiculous this is.
Surprise. The internet has no idea what they're talking about when it comes to the Pooh Shiesty case. Case in point, let me show you the first 5 seconds of the press conference from the Department of Justice, which it sounds like they have no idea what they're talking about when they talk about the Pooh Shiesty case.
I'm Ryan Rabel, I'm the U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Texas. Thank you for coming. This week, 9 individuals, including well-known musical artists, kidnapped and robbed at gunpoint numerous victims at a music studio in Dallas, Texas. 8 of the 9 were arrested yesterday.
He just said this week, 9 individuals, including well-known music artists, kidnapped. This happened back on January 10th. Why is the internet wrong? Well, people who are saying that there's this guy on video pulling a gun on Gucci, if the feds have you on video pulling a gun on Gucci while you're on home confinement, not allowed to have a gun on January 10th, you get arrested January 11th, maybe.
Nope. Nope. Not true. Footage of them having a gun on Gucci. That's Gucci RD, Radrick Davis, Gucci Mane, Draco, Chopper Gang, contracting hat. Okay.
January 12th. By February, you're cooked. By March, you're already violated and doing your time. This is April. Now, one thing to note, I think the fact that we're in April and this came out today is telling, because Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, was fired today, and we need to turn the page. quickly. But I think this case seems, we'll see. I think obviously the feds have charged kidnapping, and the reason why you charge kidnapping is because it's not larceny. The guy didn't rob the recording deal rights. You're never going to prove to a jury that Pooh Shiesty had a premeditated plan to fly out to Dallas, and then he's going to pull a gun on Gucci and get Gucci to sign away the contract rights.
They're never going to prove that. Contract printed by William Sr. at Staples hours before the offense. Pooh Shiesty's dad, during his incarceration, trying to renegotiate numerous unsuccessful attempts to negotiate with Radrick Davis to obtain the much. This is what I'm saying. This is why you just got to trust Big Me with the information. Just trust Big Me.
Ridiculous. Okay, there was a lot of people in the room. Apparently, there was some violence in that room because the most injuries that we've heard of is some guy got like choked and there were some abrasions on his neck. Okay, so something happened. But then like beyond that, the feds haven't really put anything. Chill out, bro. There's so many ways to defend a case like this. One of the things that I'd be looking out for is what everybody has to say, because if there's no video footage of what happened in the room and there's 6 people in a room, then it's going to be very interesting to see what the 6 people in the room have to say. So.
Right. Okay. So here's the next thing I want to show. I'm going to keep going with the contract, right? But shout out to Mo, because he's been one of the people that's been doing a lot of reporting on this. Unfortunately, a lot of what he's been saying is nonsense. But when Pooh Shiesty's lawyer withdrew from the case, everybody said, this isn't bad. This isn't a disaster. The house isn't on fire. He just had other things to do. I think that basically the feds recovered the footage like a few weeks back when this happened. And I think the main lawyer, Brad Cohen, said, bruv, what do you mean you on Chopper Gang? What do you mean the video 0 seconds shows your dad holding the contract and they got it in his email and him at Staples getting it printed 2 hours earlier and they know he was trying to negotiate with Gucci Mane months ago? What do you mean there's video footage of your boy literally holding a Draco to Gucci Mane? What? I'm out. This is nonsense. I'm out. But let's hear what Mo had to say about it.
Pooh Shiesty update. His celebrity lawyer, Bradford Cohen, announcing that he's withdrawing from representing Pooh Shiesty. This begs the question, is Pooh broke and can't afford his celebrity lawyer anymore? Luckily for Pooh, the report is out of who his new lawyers are going to be. You've probably seen this guy. This guy's coming in to represent Pooh Shiesty. He's wildly popular on the internet for his podcast. I can tell you one thing about him. This brother is not cheap, okay? And he's got a partner. There's going to be 2 superstar lawyers representing Pooh. Pooh is locked and loaded with plenty of cash for his defense if this is the guy he's bringing in. The other big question here is why the change in the lawyer? Well, if I had to guess, Brad Cohen, who has been representing celebrities for the past decade, probably has a lot of contacts throughout the industry and might not be the right lawyer for a case that's going to involve on one side an industry rapper and on the other side an industry victim. So ultimately what's going to happen in this case, I think you're going to see some motions to dismiss early on where they're going to challenge, does this even really belong in federal court? It's a kidnapping case. What's it doing in federal court? And then we're going to see if anybody flips. If one of the 9-10 people that were there with Pooh start pointing the finger at Pooh, it's going to be a problem. If they all stand tall, you could see this thing go to trial. Even after trial, the game's not over. You've seen a lot of rappers work on pardons, although looking at the lawyer that he just brought in, that lawyer talks a lot of shit about Trump. I don't think he's going to be angling for a pardon anytime. Pooh Shiesty.
What a load of nonsense, right? Like, shout out to Mo, man. He's a cool guy. I don't have an issue with Mo, but it's just like, bro, you really you saying the reason that Pooh Shiesty's lawyer dropped out is because he's trying to maintain his industry connections. He left. Maybe he was just not right for the case, or maybe he saw this nonsense, this tomfoolery, and said, "You're cooked. Oven's still cooking at 400 degrees. Don't worry about it, guys. Food's still in the oven. We're gonna let it cook for another 10 minutes or so." Okay, it is absolutely absurd. So, whole lot of cap. All right. All the stuff I was saying was right. All the nonsense everybody else was saying was just a load of rubbish. And yeah, that's just where we're at with it. Okay, so let's continue. All right, let's continue. So where we got up to, I believe, was about here. Okay, his characteristics have not improved. All right, basically, he's previously he requested that he's previously demonstrated compliance with conditions of his home confinement. That's cap. Investigation into his ongoing behavior once released from BOP paints a different picture. He repeatedly failed to comply with the terms of his home confinement last time, further underscoring the lengths he'll go to subvert conditions set by a court or government authority and the danger he poses to the community if released. As explored below, all right, all of the factors weigh heavily in favor of Pooh Shiesty staying in jail. No condition or combination of conditions exist. They don't exist. No combination. It doesn't exist. You see Jerry Steinfeld the other day, they asked him about Free Palestine. He said it doesn't exist. All right. Now, look, I ain't going to comment on that. But in this situation, it doesn't exist. All right? Any conditions for Pooh Shiesty to be released from jail do not exist. They don't exist. Okay? It doesn't exist. So the nature and circumstances of the offences were pre-planned, violent, and gratuitous. Uh-oh. Crazy. Pooh Shiesty stands at the centre of this armed kidnapping, robbery, and extortion. It was Pooh Shiesty who summoned the victims to Dallas. Premeditation, you say? It was Pooh Shiesty who set the violence on January the 10th in motion when Gucci refused his demands, pulling a Draco from his bag and pointing it at Gucci, ultimately escalating an argument into an armed confrontation. It was Pooh Shiesty who brought with him armed gang members to a business meeting, betraying his own expectation that the encounter would devolve into violence. And it was Pooh Shiesty who, after robbing Gucci Mane, facilitated physical violence and the threat of firearms from his co-conspirators to rob MMBP and bar Gucci Mane's security team from entering the room. Pooh Shiesty refused to be satisfied holding Gucci at gunpoint to sign a release. Instead, he continued to terrorize the victims by stealing their personal valuables. The victims' statements provided to law enforcement on the date of the offense, as well as their statements in subsequent interviews with investigators, recount that they feared they would be executed by Pooh Shiesty and his fellow co-conspirators. This fear is not unfounded. Bro, what are we doing here? So during the robbery that famously led to Pooh Shiesty's previous federal conviction, 2 victims were shot and wounded. For the victims and witnesses of Pooh Shiesty's instant offence, the trauma of that incident has not dissipated in the subsequent months. Security Officer CW recounts the fear that he and his family still experience in the letter to the court attached at Government Exhibit 9. I already showed you that. Taking this together with the circumstances of the offence and William Jr.'s crucial role in its commission, this factor weighs heavily in favour of his detention. Oh my God. Nearly ready to put my oven gloves on and take that food out the oven. The weight of the evidence against Williams Jr. is extraordinarily strong. The brunt of Pooh Shiesty's argument in favour of his pre-trial release is premised on his perception that the weight of the evidence in the case does not support detention. He might as well have hired Mo Gangat to be his lawyer. But in arguing this factor disregards a substantial portion of the government's case. That case includes cooperation of all 5 victims and witnesses. That includes Gucci Mane, so yeah, he's telling. Cooperating, all right? But I don't blame him. He's a businessman. He's worth 100 M's. Cell phone location data and surveillance video. They said there was no video. Mo, there's what? You said there was no video, right? Placing conspirators at the scene and the video that Pooh Shiesty filed of Gucci Mane in the recording room. I think that meant to say filmed. The video that Big 30 filmed of Gucci Mane in the recording room being forced to declare that Pooh Shiesty was dropped from his label and released from his contract. Judge Tolliver called this evidence strong on April 8th on a record that didn't even yet include the release paperwork or the video. Both have now been recovered. They got the video. They recovered it. It's even worse, right? So among other evidence, the government case includes not 1, but 5 cooperating victims and witnesses. Pooh Shiesty's motion erroneously asserts that the sum total of the government's case rests solely on a single victim, Gucci Mane, who he further claims has now publicly recanted. That's cap. He dropped a song saying, "I signed the contract under duress." He telling. Sorry, Gucci. I like Gucci. Goo what, ma'am? But he tell him. Preliminarily, it is telling that Pooh Shiesty provides no exhibits, evidence, context, or citations to support the repeated assertion in his filing that any victims of this offence have publicly recanted, aside from his conclusory assertions of the same. So he's capping, he's lying, he's got no evidence. People out here just capping and lying. The government is presently unaware of any statements made by any of the victims that in any way challenges the consistent narrative provided to law enforcement since the very date of the incident, that Gucci Mane was forced to sign a release of a contract at gunpoint by Pooh Shiesty, and that he was then forced to provide a verbal release captured on video, that he was then robbed of his possessions inside the recording room, and that after this initial extortion and kidnapping, Pooh Shiesty and his confidants continued the kidnapping and robbery of the victims in the control room. In April 2026, after each co-conspirator had been apprehended, investigators conducted follow-up interviews with all 5 cooperating witnesses and victims. Each remained consistent with their prior accounts and reaffirmed their cooperation with the prosecution. Williams Jr.'s contention that a single witness has recanted is unsubstantiated by anything in his motion and refuted by the victims and witnesses' consistent accounts of the events. You're a liar. That's what they're saying. You're a liar. You're lying. There's no evidence. Show us the evidence. You're a liar. And we just found the video of you basically doing everything we said. The victim's statements are corroborated by the digital and physical evidence gathered in the course of the investigation. So we don't even need them to snitch because we actually have all the recordings, but they're going to snitch anyway. The government provided physical evidence at the April 8th detention hearing. Okay, leg monitor data. Bro, your ankle monitor snitched on you, bro. Surveillance footage and a receipt from Staples. I'm just going to show you something. You know what this is? You know what this is? This is for Pooh Shiesty's father, Lontrell Sr. Do you know what this is, sir? This is a home printer, right? It's a home printer. You can scan, all right? You can scan documents. You can scan your release contract. It is a home printer, okay? This was like $50. Just a bit of OG advice. Just a bit of OG advice. Like, grab yourself one of these. Anybody out here planning to extort their label boss, Suge Knights, you know, you're budding Suge Knights, you're budding Pooh Shiesties, $50, all right? But no, you're so dumb. You're so dumb. You went to Staples on the day of the hit, on the day of the kid. I need a sponsorship from Hewlett-Packard is what I need. That's what I need, okay? They could make Pooh Shiesty the ambassador for Epson printers. All right, HP, any of these companies, bro, drop in the bag. Brr. Anyway, there was also social media posts of the stolen jewelry. Since then, it has recovered a copy of the release contract. Uh-oh. So they got the contract and the video of the kidnapping, both of which corroborate the victim's accounts. Pooh Shiesty's claim no physical evidence exists is flatly wrong. This guy's so dumb. Even at this juncture, with the forensic review of seized devices and warrant returns still ongoing, on a record this strong, and still growing, still cooking, the weight of the evidence factors, the weight of the evidence factor favours detention more heavily than it did when Magistrate Judge Don Tolliver first weighed it. So they're saying that you asking for release now, we got more evidence. We weren't releasing you then. We releasing you even less now. Insanity. So the defendant's premature jurisdiction argument does nothing to rebut the strength of the evidence and moreover fails as a matter of law. Pooh Shiesty argues there's a genuine question whether the charged conduct is a federal crime and that this should weigh against his detention. He is wrong. As a threshold matter, this argument challenges only the kidnapping charges. Even if Pooh Shiesty were to prevail, the Hobbs Act extortion and conspiracy counts would remain. Briefly entering the merits of his jurisdictional argument, notwithstanding that the proper vehicle to raise and litigate this concern is through a motion to dismiss. Williams Jr. misunderstands what 1201A requires. The government satisfies the interstate commerce nexus by showing that the defendant used any means, facility, or instrumentality of interstate or foreign commerce in committing or furthering the offense. Fifth Circuit Patent Jury Instructions 254 states a cell phone is such an instrumentality, and the Fifth Circuit has repeatedly upheld its use in furtherance of an offence as sufficient to meet this element. All right? Basically, they're saying the jurisdictional element is met when the defendant and other robbers use cell phones before, during, and after the robbery to communicate while travelling, to maintain lookouts during the robbery, and to schedule a meeting. So not only did you guys travel across state lines to go and kidnap somebody, but you used your cell phones to coordinate it all. People in different states, people driving in from Dallas, Memphis, a Chopper gang driving in from Memphis, you on the phone coordinating, we're going to come down from Dallas, we're in Frisco, we're going to all link up and we're going to rob Gucci Mane who's from Atlanta. Nice one. Federal, right? It says a telephone used in a kidnapping can be classified as a means, facility, or instrumentality of interstate or foreign commerce. You get the gist, right? Tennessee, Texas, we linking up. You going to pull up with the choppers? Are you going to bring the choppers, yeah? Across state lines, yeah? Chopper gang. Hello. Pooh Shiesty calling for Chopper Gang from Texas. I'm calling Tennessee for Chopper Gang. I would like to request 8 of my 100 men from Chopper Gang to attend cross state lines with some Dracos, aka Choppers, because we are Chopper Gang after all, which I co-founded Chopper Gang. So in this case, Pooh Shiesty used the cell phone, among other things, to send text messages to Gucci Mane, so he convinced the victim to travel there, and all these Chopper Gang members, to coordinate the January 10th meeting, to converse with a VOA employee from the music studio prior to the events regarding his ongoing non-compliance with his home confinement location requirements, and he encouraged Big 30 to capture Gucci Mane's verbal release of contract using Big 30 cell phone. So you use that cell phone, you sent that shit up into the cloud. You probably sent that shit up into the iCloud. Who knows what state that went to? Now this has gone beyond federal. You're going to get the, you know what I'm saying? You're going to get the CBI. You're going to get the Cloud Bureau of Investigation on you. And he sent a call to arms to a group chat. So they had a Chopper Gang group chat. All right. He co-founded Chopper Gang and he co-founded the Chopper Gang group chat. This is just lunacy. All right. He sent a call to arms to a group chat containing Chopper Gang members using an encrypted cell phone messaging application, Signal, in the days leading up to the offense to gather an entourage to accompany him to Dallas. Bro, Signal ain't safe. Telegram ain't. This shit ain't safe. Chopper Gang group chat on Signal is app. I never thought I would see the Chopper. No. It's the group chat's just called C. Could be anything. Could be any gang. Could be Cuddle Gang. Could be Cool Guys Gang. Chopper Gang? Never heard of them. We don't have choppers. We definitely don't have video proof of us having choppers. He said, I need... No, stop. Stop. No. They're all named after killers. So he's got Michael Myers. Someone's called Charles Manson. They're named after killers. I guess Ball is 30. Big Dirty Ball. Big Dirt Ball. I cannot believe what I'm seeing. I'm actually excited at how ridiculous this is. Because keep it real with you guys. Like, I'm not the most social guy. I'm in a couple group chats, but like to actually get to witness what's going on inside the official Chopper Gang group chat is actually insanity. So Michael Myers, I'm gonna guess, they might tell us in a minute who's who, but I'm gonna guess Chopper Gang group chat. I need 6:30 for Saturday, pulling up on WAP. That's Gucci. Plus 2 drivers. Charles Manson overstood. They're saying what we need to do. He got the demon emoji, the snake emoji. All right. He said, yeah, what we need to do. He said, bet, I'm there. So I guess this Big 30. I'm there. Pull up on him where I need to get to. Glizzy said, I'm there. Let me know. Dirty Bull said, I need drivers. All right. This version of Signal is, it's all on Signal. I thought Signal was encrypted. They're saying 30, where you at? Third Ball, Big 30, where you at? All right. Like the feds weren't going to encode this. Like, we didn't see, Chopper Gang. Twin Gotti said, bet. Bobo said, when y'all trying to leave out? Big Dirty Ball, allegedly, said, finna leave the A. Oh, what? In Georgia? What, in a different state? Interstate commerce? To do a kidnap? All right. It's on Shiesty who he picked to come. So he getting to pick out of his 100 people. He said, I got the Hellcat and the TRX. These hoes drink gas, though. They worrying about gas money, bro. Big 30 Ball. I thought Big 30 Ball was rich as fuck. And everybody can't go because house all them folks be tripping. And everybody can't go to cuz house at all them folks be tripping. I guess they're talking about probation. And they said, everybody get in touch with KD ASAP. 911, it's serious. Be ready. Said, so y'all ain't driving? Oh, boy. So Pooh Shiesty was the one using the name Michael Myers. Discussing needing 630 or certified, which is believed to refer to certified gang members, Chopper Gang, Big Brr. He founded the gang with 2 drivers for that Saturday. January 10th, 2026. Featured in the chat are responses from, among others, co-defendants Damfu, a.k.a. Terrence Rogers, and Glizzy, a.k.a. Darian McDaniel. I actually cannot believe that they got this Chopper Gang group chat. Insane. This evidence is more than sufficient to surpass the jurisdictional hurdle of federal prosecution for this kidnapping and Williams Jr., Pooh Shiesty's assertion that the defendant's phone itself must be used across state lines in furtherance of the kidnapping. He simply misunderstands the law. In the above messages, the group message is simply labeled as C. At one time, this group message was entitled Certified Members Only. Upon information belief, Certified Members Only, or CMO, is a subset of the broader Chopper Gang, of which Pooh Shiesty has repeatedly previously claimed leadership of. I can't believe how bad this paperwork is, bro. I'm in shock. This is my first time reading this. It says, a now remedied Scrivener's error in the complaint does nothing to challenge the weight of the evidence against Pooh Shiesty. Pooh Shiesty's final argument rests on a scrivener's error in the complaint and his claim that 4 months have passed without anyone correcting it. But Pooh Shiesty's own pleading shows that S.A. Hansen corrected the error at the probable cause hearing once it was raised. Magistrate Judge Don Tolliver then found the government had met its burden, holding that there's probable cause to believe that you committed the law violations alleged in the criminal complaint and that the weight of the evidence against Pooh Shiesty in this case is strong. The correction carried through on all subsequent processes, and since the initial detention hearing, a grand jury in this district has returned a true bill against Williams Jr. on these charges. The complaint's inadvertent reference to the control room rather than the recording room doesn't weaken the government's case and fails to provide any justification for Pooh Shiesty's pre-trial release. Pooh Shiesty's history and characteristics paint him as a violent felon, unwilling and unable to follow court-imposed rules. Pooh Shiesty has a criminal history that includes acts of violence involving firearms. On the date of the kidnapping and robbery, Pooh Shiesty was still serving his 63-month sentence for conspiracy to possess firearms in furtherance of violent and drug trafficking crimes. The conduct behind this prosecution and subsequent conviction was prolonged and severe and included Williams Jr. shooting individuals on 2 separate occasions. Brr. Pooh Shiesty and his Chopper Gang affiliates had been on law enforcement's radar since at least 2018. In December 2019, Memphis Police Department officers executed a search warrant at Pooh Shiesty's residence and found him sitting on a Glock 22 pistol along with a 50-round drum magazine loaded with approximately 24 rounds, marijuana, and bulk currency. In July 2020, Pooh Shiesty reportedly threw fireworks at a gas station and drove away and returned in the same vehicle, at which point an occupant of the vehicle shot at the gas station. I never heard that one before. He threw fireworks at a gas station and drove away. Do you mean he fired fireworks or he threw them out the car? They shot at the gas station. That's insane. Why? Why? What's the point? On October the 9th, 2020, Pooh Shiesty drove a lime green McLaren with a fellow Chopper Gang leader to commit an armed robbery, as he would later do in the instant case. Pooh Shiesty arranged the meeting under the guise of a business transaction, telling his victim he wanted to buy sneakers, codeine, and marijuana, and to discuss his McLaren rental terms. Instead, Pooh Shiesty and his associate brandished firearms, and Pooh Shiesty ultimately shot one victim with his Draco. His fellow gang leader shot a second. The entire incident was caught on surveillance video. We've seen that. If this pattern of violence wasn't enough, it wasn't. In May 2021, while out on state bond, Williams Jr. shot a security guard at a club, and he and his entourage were being removed. As he and his entourage were being removed from the venue. Prior to the assault, Williams Jr. performed at the very club and travelled to his performance armed. Williams Jr. has previously demonstrated an inability to comply with terms of supervision. Williams Jr. says his conduct since his release speaks for itself, and that on that matter the government concurs. But unfortunately for Pooh Shiesty, his assertions that he reported for every urinalysis has complied with all the conditions of home detention without exception are easily refuted by the records obtained from the VOA, the Volunteers of America. I've made a mistake. Hang on. There we go. In the months surrounding the offence, the Volunteers of America formally documented at least 5 violations of Pooh Shiesty's conditions. He provided a cold urine sample November 8th on the afternoon of the kidnapping and the extortion of itself. So it was November 8, 2025. Then on the afternoon of the kidnapping and extortion, the VOA wrote Williams Jr. up for being at an unapproved location. When his supervisors called and told him to get home immediately, he refused, said, hell no, I got some business to handle real quick. I need to handle this music. His non-compliance continued after his January 10 criminal episode, with Pooh Shiesty failing to appear for urinalysis on January the 30th, 2026, with the excuse claimed lack of transportation. In that Chopper Gang group chat, you had TRXs, Hellcats, you had all type of transportation. But now when it comes to pissing in a cup, them Hellcats ain't around. He missed his bi-weekly check-in on March the 3rd, 2026, and when again he claimed he couldn't get a urinalysis appointment on March 21st, the VOA agreed to let him report the next morning instead, yet he still didn't show up. S.A. Hansen has now obtained Pooh Shiesty's VOA location pass information and compared it to his GPS location data. When she did so, he noted 16 instances where Pooh Shiesty's location didn't match the location that was on his pass between December 5th, 2025 and March 3rd, 2026. Text messages recovered from Pooh Shiesty's phone show him reporting his true location, i.e. consistent with his leg monitor, but contradicting the VOA passes he submitted, further demonstrating his knowledge of the entry of these false passes. Oh my God. Stop it. As a condition of home confinement, Pooh Shiesty is also required to abstain from alcohol and narcotics. Nevertheless, his text messages expose his ongoing failure to do so, beginning around the time of his release from BOP. Below is a sampling of some of these messages. So this is not even in the Pooh Shiesty, the Chopper Gang group chat. Someone saying, just got out the shower, what you doing? He said, I'm high and drunk. You sleep? It's got to be a girl, right? So on the left is Pooh Shiesty in the blue bubbles responding to the inquiry of what he was doing. He said he was high and drunk, right? He said he was drunk. He's texting a woman. He says, I'm drunk. He says, what were you drinking? He says, Lula Zule or some shit. And he's saying, baby, I'm drunk as fuck. This conduct persisted after he committed the January 10th kidnapping and extortion. And the words of his filing, he knew of the investigation into him. Oh, my God. They're saying, what you doing? He said, playing GTA, getting drunk. They said, what's up? I just got up. I've been tore up. He said, you was drunk. LMAO. He said, yeah, man. I passed out in the studio. And if alcohol consumption alone wasn't enough, Williams Jr. even admits at one point he got in a car accident while drinking and driving. He said, I got in a wreck. He said, what the F? How? He said, you was drunk? He said, yep, but somebody hit me. Man, what the F? These consistent violations over the entire course of his home confinement are not the lapses of somebody trying and occasionally falling short. His own text messages betray his flippant attitude that he remains sober and clean. And Pooh Shiesty built his official record of non-compliance while at least one VOA employee was actively helping him evade his conditions by entering fake passes so he could leave home. Even with an insider clearing the way, he could not or would not comply. This is not a defendant who can be trusted to follow a court's conditions, but one who treats them as obstacles to overcome. No condition of release can protect the community or the witnesses against Pooh Shiesty from the danger he poses. The danger here is concrete. Williams Jr. himself has shot at least 2 people across 2 separate incidents. He leads a Memphis street gang of roughly 100 men, a gang that, as a Memphis gang detective has already testified in this prosecution, commits homicides, robberies, carjacking, and firearms and drug offenses. And when a business dispute didn't go his way, he resolved it by luring the other side to Texas and putting a gun to a man's head. This is an individual who uses deception and violence to get his way. Electronic monitoring cannot answer the entirety of the danger that Williams Jr. poses if released, as a monitor tracks where Williams Jr. is but does nothing to stop what he orders done. Put differently, Williams Jr. on his own possesses a real and present danger to the community, but even more so, he poses a danger through the power and control he asserts over his gang affiliates. As his messages to his fellow gang members highlight, Pooh Shiesty is a man who can summon an armed entourage at his will. He did exactly that for the January 10th episode, all while ordered confined to his home and while wearing an ankle monitor. Detention does not erase his influence over the Chopper gang, but it does put a barrier between him and the people who want to carry out his orders. Pooh Shiesty's proposal to hire a private monitor offers no such barrier. Pooh Shiesty's already shown what he does with the people assigned to supervise him. He compromises them. He carried on a personal relationship with a VOA case manager who did his bidding and permitted him to travel beyond the bounds of his confinement, seemingly undetected. A monitor of his own choosing is, if anything, easier to corrupt than the one imposed by the government. For all these reasons, there are no conditions or combinations of conditions that would sufficiently mitigate the danger Mr. Williams Jr. poses to the community or his flight risk. Accordingly, the court should deny his motion, decline to impose conditions of release, and continue to detain Pooh Shiesty pending trial. So you can open up the oven now. All right, we've baked for over an hour, and the cookout is finally done. He is cooked beyond all recognition. They said they didn't have video. Whoops-a-daisy, we found the video. They said we got a message. The Chopper Gang group chat is absolutely insane. So I'm going to leave it there. I think we've done enough. I think we've proven enough. I think we've made our point. Okay. I think Pooh Shiesty's absolutely cooked. Best thing he could do is take a plea. He was already on federal probation when this happened. They're not going to look kindly upon him. It is going to be a bloodbath when he goes to court. It's too much. It's actually too much. I cannot believe it. Okay, this is definitely bad. So let me know what you thought of that. All right, it's going around everywhere. I cannot believe it. Hope you found that breakdown helpful. There was a lot more than I even thought. Chopper Gang group chat is absolutely diabolical. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching this one. And for now, I'm out of here, gang. Peace.